Between TV appearances, recording, and performing, I've had a busy year. But I wanted to take a minute to tell you about something very personal to me.
I don't know about you, but I don't think I ever saw a diabetes episode of Drake and Josh, iCarly, Victorious. No, this was exclusively a Disney Channel thing. I feel like the core of this conversation began with Nick Jonas. Disney Channel actually had him talk about diabetes just because he had it.
Juvenile diabetes. In 2005, I was diagnosed with diabetes.
Making him essentially the poster child without him wanting to actually do that. And yeah, it's not that big of a deal. It's not like this changed the world or created this big offensive cancellation campaign. No, it's just kind of funny that it happened to be all about diabetes.
I guess I should have rinsed off that pamphlet before we became the food police.
Like when I review the offensive episodes of Drake and Josh, iCarly, Victorious, like all these really offensive teen shows, it's never because one of them has diabetes or has misinformation about eating sugar or health or fitness, which is why it's really interesting that Disney cared about covering this. For me, it's a little bit more in-depth because I like Demi Lovato a lot and Sunny with a Chance, so I think a lot about her song Melon Cake, and apparently Disney was the channel that had her not eat cake. Like, she had to have watermelon instead, and that's such a weird controlling thing that is so specific to the 2000s. Like, I don't understand why diabetes would have been the hill to die on. There's so many bigger problems going on. Like, it's important to raise awareness, talk about the conversation, but have the episode center around it as if it is this, like, terminal illness is where it gets weird. And Zack and Cody, I didn't realize had an even more crazier episode than Hannah Montana did. So let's jump into it. What's up, everybody? It's Johnny 2000, focusing on 2000 media, TV, movies, and so much more. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, guys. It really helps a lot, and thank you guys so much for ongoing support. I love covering this stuff. Okay, so now we got a really wacky episode. Disney Channel has surprised me in the past with how far they like to push some of their comedy, and this one is a little further than I was ever expecting. The episode's called Health and Fitness. We got my boy Chef Paolo back again, which at this point, I feel like if you saw the punch cards of the staff at the Tipton, each of them would work for like 1 hour a month, because they are rarely around in this show. It starts with everybody at the Tipton getting needles to check their blood pressure. Of course, Mosby is scared of needles, which doesn't ever have an effect with the rest of the episode, so let's move on. And it kind of leads us into the true topic of the episode, which is about sugar. I'm not sure if you guys saw the Hannah Montana episode, No Sugar Sugar, or Uptight Oliver's Alright. Yeah, they had to rename it twice. But in this episode, the character Oliver is found to have hiding the fact that he has diabetes. Miley and Lily kind of go on this endeavor to figure out what's going on with him, and when they find out it's diabetes, they essentially act immediately. They try to keep him away from sugar as if he's allergic to this. Like, they monitor his eating and they get hyperfixated on the fact that he can't have sugar. But the most important part of the episode isn't about the episode itself, it's more about the reception. See, this Hannah Montana episode got a lot of conversations going, and a lot of parents that are a part of the Diabetes Association of America wrote letters to Disney expressing their discontent with the episode.
Tonight we learned a lot of important things.
Yeah, I learned that 40 kids get diagnosed with type 1 diabetes every day.
Yeah, and I learned you can't get it from eating too many sweets.
And I learned if you take your insulin appropriately, exercise, and eat a balanced diet, you can do anything and be anything you want to be.
And I learned that someday I'm gonna be good looking, and I'm gonna inherit a lot of money.
It had them change one of the moments in the episode itself. Originally, the episode ended with them successfully getting Oliver away from sugar, but then they replaced it with a scene of Miley and the main cast talking about diabetes awareness, like as if it's this big plague. I can't believe we were so focused on food consumption and all this stuff when there were so much more important things going on at the time. But yeah, they felt the need to cover this topic again in another episode of another sitcom, Sweet Life. So Zack's eating a little too much sugar, and Cody points it out as if it's this big deal. Which I'm not saying it's not a big deal. I mean, I'm sure you shouldn't be overdoing candy consumption, but I mean, who am I to say? I get up every morning and eat zebra cakes like it's a hash brown. Cody is the first person to bring on a fat joke, and whoa, that came in strong.
This health questionnaire is really interesting.
I'd like to show you, but you might eat it.
Carrie kind of cautions Zack that he could end up having diabetes, and I don't know if it should be painted in that dark of a light. Like, it's not the end of the world, it's something that people have and they deal with. The more interesting thing is that Disney actually avoided talking about candy and sugar consumption on most of their shows in general, probably because they didn't want to influence kids to be eating too much sugar. Cody notices that Chef Paolo himself got a blood result test and it came out really bad, kind of giving the main cast an insight on how Zack could end up if he keeps eating all this candy.
How bad can your blood be?
They found the bacon bits.
And Cody's kind of caring, like he tells Chef Paolo he will help him get over this issue. In the B plot, London tells Maddie that her friend is giving away a bunch of clothes, something in preparation for a fashion show at the end of the episode, and the two show up, the friend is a jerk, and instead of getting clothes, they are left with insecurity?
We can only criticize people that we pay.
Fine. Your butt is huge. And you have chicken legs. That's the best $50 I ever spent.
Hitting a new low for the rich in this scenario. I really hope nobody does that in real life. But the girls get really self-conscious, which is fair, because people care about other people's approval, and you don't want anybody ever commenting on your size. They look into the mirror and they can even see it. It's like body dysmorphia. And even though they're not saying what's right or wrong about it, I do like the implication that, like, that is kind of how people with body dysmorphia see themselves in the mirror. I'm not sure if it's tackled necessarily in the correct way, but I am happy it's something we talked about back then. If anything, something that's lacking in shows today that we should be talking about. But yeah, this whole B plot mirrors the A plot in that it's all about monitoring food consumption, which in both instances is not good. Cody's trying to help distract Chef Paolo as he's making food in the kitchen. London comes in and is demanding to have food because she's probably starving at this point. And Cody is so committed to helping everybody that he jumps in between a cake for all of them so they wouldn't eat it. And it's like he's got frosting on his face. Another moment where Sweet Life of Zack and Cody is involving throwing food again.
There's still some chocolate left on his face.
Let's take it off!
Yes.
Then, as Maddie and London are trying to both overcome their insecurities about their weight, Mosby comes in and tries to give them like an endearing speech, which who in the world wants a speech from their manager about their weight? Gosh, I can't imagine what I would say if my manager called me into his office and told me I looked beautiful the way I was. I mean, I guess it's sweet. I'm looking at it from a very cynical point of view. You guys get what I mean, right?
He's gone!
Cody asks Chef Paolo to spend the night there so he could help him go a whole night without binging. Chef Paolo and Zack kind of meet up in the middle of the night, both craving sugar, and they kind of team up to get away from Cody. They head all the way down to the kitchen at the Tipton and are eating an obscenely disgusting amount of food, like dipping chocolate in gravy. I mean, this is making me not like sugar. Cody and Carrie come down, catching both of them, and they're both pretty disappointed. Carrie is a little bit more lenient because she's like, I shouldn't have expected you to go cold turkey. But Cody is more like, Chef Paolo, you're an adult, you should be able to get through this, which, I mean, I guess he's not wrong.
It's the gravy. She calls it to me like a siren song.
If a 14-year-old came up to me and is like, dude, you gotta fix your eating, I definitely would consider it. I'm not saying it's a good idea to take it seriously, but it sucks. Cody plays tough love on Chef Paolo and is essentially like, I'm gonna give up on you because it's so sad to see you self-harm with food. And that's a really interesting topic. And Cody does a really good job at setting up a boundary with Chef Paolo because a lot of us do things unintentionally in our lives may end up in hurting our own health. Something simple as eating candy when you know it's not good for you is like a small way of kind of betraying yourself. And the way Chef Paolo does it is almost ridiculous. Like, some people have an out of control issue with continuing a habit that hurts them. It kind of reminds me of like smoking. Like back in the 2000s, there was a lot of campaigns against smoking because all these adults used to smoke. And I was one of the kids that wanted it to stop. I remember hiding my mom's cigarettes when I was little and I thought that made sense. But that's like another form of self-harm. And it's hard to watch something like that. But that's why I respect Cody for standing up for it. He's like, I'm not gonna watch this, and it's totally fair. But if this were real life, I think the adult would be like, hey, don't tell me what to do. I don't know. But I feel bad. Like, I understand what it's like to eat yourself sick, especially when you're going through something. You don't realize you're doing something like that. But that's why it's important we focus on our mental health and pay attention to what we're doing, because sometimes we unintentionally will not take care of ourselves and don't even realize we're doing it. This is kind of an interesting topic because it's not necessarily like the show got it right or wrong in this instance. It's almost like better that we're even talking about it at all, and that's always something I like to do. In the next scene, we actually have the fashion show that London was talking about a bit earlier. It's the perfect setup because obviously it's a plot line where it's all about appearance. Like, they have to walk on stage, they have to model these outfits. A very big trigger for somebody going through this counting calories issue.
I'm so hungry, I'm dizzy. And I keep smelling hamburger. That's me. I'm sweating beef juice.
They end up ruining the entire event, like making an embarrassment out of themselves, and it's just to show that not being yourself, not being authentic, doing things that don't necessarily contribute to the well-being of your health or the relationship you have with yourself will always bite you in the butt. Whether it's food, whether it's something small as the miniature golf episode where Zack was just being a sore loser, to something as big as harming yourself with something you know is a detriment to your health. But they end up finding a really good resolve with this episode specifically. Like, the next day, Paolo actually takes Cody's words to heart, and he surprises him by making him a healthy meal, which is really sweet, and he names it after him. Then Zack tries it, and he too realizes that it's really good food.
This is delicious. What is it?
Mixed vegetables.
No, seriously.
And then it's kind of like a little assumption that everything's going to be better from here on out, and none of them will ever be insecure about body weight ever again. Yep, that's just the fake world that the sitcoms live in. In reality, obviously, this is something that people battle on a daily basis. This is something that can affect you long term, and it just further exemplifies why self-care and self-love are important. The relationship to yourself is the root for how you see life. I am a little annoyed, though, at the end, because it's Maddie and London finding guys, and they tell them that they're enough, and that's the reason they're kind of happy about it, and that's not a good reason. Like, I wish they told each other their approval is the only thing that matters, or their own, or that looking healthy isn't as good as feeling healthy. But yeah, I feel bad for making it that deep, but it is something worth talking about. If you disagree or agree with me, please put it in the comments. That's the whole point of having discussions like this, looking back on the 2000s and kind of identifying what we were really going through at the time, because mental health was not talked about super much back then, but this is definitely a good example of self-harm and how people kind of use it in ways that they don't realize they're doing.
I guess Mosby is right after all.
He always is.
So who here remembers this whole diabetes era of Disney Channel, and who is surprised that it didn't really come back so many times after this? I mean, I'm not surprised. I can't imagine the reaction to this kind of stuff considering how much we are thinking about it still as adults. Kids TV did a good job at occasionally diving into topics we thought were deep and diving into situations we thought were topical without actually going there probably ever. But hey, it makes for some good entertainment now, okay? Thank you guys so much for watching my video. If you guys haven't yet, double check the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody retrospective series. I dive into all of this in the other episodes. And don't forget, I also have merch available online now too, so that'll be fun. Thank you guys, and I will see you guys next time.